All right.
To be honest, Brian doesn't really have time to watch the football, and he doesn't. So
I'm one of those match of the day lads, aren't I, who just regurgitates Jermaine Genius's punditry.
yeah, actually, I do actually, and sometimes he does the voice as well, which is really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Do Jermaine Genius's voice like you do?
I don't.
Do the stuff about his hand.
He doesn't have his dodgy little hand. He's
You can't say dodgy.
I've actually stood next to him once when he was picking out CDs in HMV when he first signed for Newcastle. He had a lot of spots when he first signed. A lot of pop marks on him.
Quite acne. I was going to say ridden, but he looks he's good.
Riddled.
Not anymore. He isn't. He's recovered. He's made a decent recovery.
Should we talk about the matches anyway? Because they'll probably be wanting us to be getting on with it sooner or later.
Yeah. You're in one of those social moods today.
I got the Chelsea game right last week. I said 2-1 Chelsea.
Yeah.
Nail on the head.
Yeah.
So,
Spurs starting poorly at home.
But yeah, so our games that we're watching on the live stream. Newcastle West Ham. We've got a West Ham fan coming.
We're going to be covering that one on Saturday.
We're covering it. Sorry,
yeah.
We're covering it in Newcastle black and white glory. Hopefully.
Do you actually?
We've also got. I think we're going to have the Palace game on. Covering the Palace game as well because
we're going to be covering that.
Missed that in between as himself is coming along to watch it with her.
James Buckley. You don't remember his name, but that's fine. He won't watch the video. James Buckley's coming down, so you guys get your questions in for James Buckley, or indeed if you're a West Ham fan.
No, that would be good, definitely. So yeah, what game should we start on the Newcastle match?
Why don't we start with the Newcastle match? This week we've got some more fancy graphics. If you guys think you can do a better job, send it to me. I honestly don't have the time to.
No, there will be someone who is better than you in the audience. I've got no doubt, mate.
Yeah, no doubt. Newcastle, West Ham. It's the tale of two Uniteds in the league. Saturday, 3:00. Like he says, join us for that.
Who's the worst? That's the question because neither of them are very good.
Who's the worst? I'm going to say West Ham out of this one because Newcastle at least showed sort of signs. But it is also one of those games where you think, are Newcastle just going to be really unlucky this season?
I think Slaven Bilic tactically is nowhere near as good as Rafa Benitez.
Yeah.
So that gives me a little bit of hope. I think when Bilic had that first good season with Payet and that way, we were all sort of taken in of, it's the I mean, he did well previously before West Ham, and then it's the old West Ham player comes back. Payet's on fire. I started thinking Bilic could be the real deal a little bit, and then when he lost him, he just totally been exposed. So I've got a lot of hope, but then. Generally, Newcastle were just lacking so much quality, and that they do have a bit of quality, like Antonio and Hernandez. But I think both teams will just be hoping not to lose as well because we both need a bit of confidence. Well, neither of us have won a game yet, so it wouldn't surprise us if we just both went and settled for a draw.
Rafa Benitez has never lost 3 games in a row in the Premier League.
Yeah,
but he's had better teams.
He's never managed a shit Premier League team, and now he is.
That's a good point. I reckon there's a Newcastle win written all over this with an Atsu goal. And,
you really like Atsu. You keep predicting Atsu.
Love Atsu. Think he's the best. He's one of those exciting wingers where he does stuff, and you're like, oh, you're actually doing something. Do you know what I mean?
He's an old-fashioned winger. He's one of them.
And I reckon if Newcastle just rain shots down on Joe Hart, in the end, something bad will happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I hope Hosselu starts. We're recording this before a League Cup game tonight. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Quite frankly, I don't care.
Yeah.
I care about relegation, and that's what I'm worried about. So yeah, maybe I'm going to go with 1-1. To be honest, with this game, I don't think it. I think it's going to be pretty boring, pretty bad, but come watch it with us anyway on Saturday.
Joe Hart's conceded. What do you reckon the score's going to be? 1-1, yeah?
I'm going 1-1 because I think Rafa is going to keep it tight, and I think Bilic will secretly just be happy to not lose.
Joe Hart has conceded 17 goals in the last 5 appearances in the league. In league competition. and saved just 10 shots in that time.
Has he been playing badly though? Like I don't think he
didn't really watch him in Italy. They didn't like him. They really genuinely the chairman of the previous club that he was at. He was at Torino, obviously in Turin, and the chairman genuinely said that Joe Hart was one of the biggest problems they had.
Well, the thing is though, against Man United, you're playing a team just on fire, ready to rock and roll at the start of the season, and then in the game after that, the players around him, Arnautovic, and obviously they gave away 2 penalties in that game. You can't really blame him for either of those games, in my opinion. So, I still think he's decent.
I still think you should put a lot of pressure on him. That's all.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we potentially start Joselu or Mitro up front and just get the pressure on straight away.
Let's also do the other game that we're going to be featured. I'm going to say 3-1 Newcastle United. I reckon they're going to unload on them.
Fuck me. You'll say a happy lad that day, and I'll be rubbing it in Hammer and Talk's face as well. Yeah. So he's coming.
Yeah, he's coming along. He seems like a nice guy.
Oh, he's lovely. Anyway, what's the other game?
Crystal Palace Swansea. We'll obviously be focusing on that. So the other game that James Buckley will be sort of keeping an eye on for us at a distance, not watching, will be Crystal Palace Swansea. Swansea have had a bad start to the season. And Crystal Palace, well, it's not gone much better.
What was Palace's last result again?
2 defeats. They've now lost their first 3. They haven't lost their first 3 opening fixtures since 2012, 2013.
God, this is terrible, isn't it? It could just. It's like literally who's the shittest. Like similar to Newcastle, West Ham in many ways. But like, yeah.
Do you think the managers say that before they go out? They sort of go, "Listen, lads, this is a competition. This isn't about who's better. It's about who's shitter. All right, go out there and show those guys who's shit."
Yeah, who's less worse?
Yeah.
Come on.
Are you bad? Are you bad? You are actually bad.
Yeah, you're all bad, but are you shit? Let's make sure that the answer.
You're not going to lose your job. You're not going to lose your job. You know. That's how they walk in and they go, there's good news and bad news.
He's literally going along like Ben Tech, you're not going to lose your job. Zaha, you're not going to lose your job. And then he gets to, I don't know, someone shit. Yeah. You know. So
did you have a medical the other day?
Is it at Palace?
You're saying that he failed his medical, so he couldn't be transferred to Crystal Palace?
Fucking hell. Where is it? Is it Palace or not?
It's at Selhurst Park. Probably one of the best grounds to visit in Britain if you're a home fan, because it's got great atmosphere. But, you know...
I mean, there's a couple of fans who sing in the corner, yeah. So.
Yeah. You've never been?
No, Soccer AM got in touch with us once and wanted us to go along and do fan cams for the YouTube channel. I was like, how about fuck right off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they said, but 10 grand, Brian. And you went, I'll be there. See you Saturday.
It was definitely not 10 grand. And even for 10 grand, mate, to be honest, I'm not a fan cam kind of guy. So.
Yeah. You would be hilarious doing fan cams because it would just sort of someone being like, what did you think of the game? I thought it was good. Great. I don't know anything else about your team, so I'm not going to ask any other questions.
No, it would be soul destroying, to be honest with you. I wouldn't want to do it. But anyway, luckily I don't have to. Fantastic. Thanks to Coral. I don't have to set up Newcastle Fan TV, which was the fallback.
Other people have, though.
If it all goes tits up, let's just cash in and let other people earn us view money.
The only other manager to lose his first 3 games who's Dutch in the Premier League was Martin Jol, and he won his 4th.
I like Martin Jol. Very likeable. But who cares? Should we just make a prediction? Who are you going with?
I'll go Crystal Palace because I like him.
I'm going to go Palace because when you look at Palace, there's quality there, even though they're being mismanaged, because he's trying to get them to run before they can even walk after changing styles. Zaha, Benteke, there is some quality.
The thing is, Swansea have quite a good record against them. They've won 6 of the last 12 and drawn a lot.
They've literally just lost their only good player, mate. So fuck them.
Yeah, good point.
All right, 3-1 Palace.
I might actually go 2-1 Palace.
All right, next match.
Well, we're actually going to go back to the start of the weekend now, which is Bournemouth Man City. This is at the Vitality Stadium. Imagine being called the Vitality Stadium.
I'm going to go Man City to just smash them to bits, to be honest. Although Man City got quite frustrated by Everton. Everton are a good, solid team throughout. Bournemouth, I think they're looking like they're a bit unstable this season, to be honest.
They aren't looking too stable, and the head-to-head record between Man City and Bournemouth isn't great since they made it back into the Premier League. Man City have won all 4 of their exchanges and scored 15 goals, with Bournemouth just scoring 1.
Yeah, let's go 4-1 Manchester City.
Yeah, really not a big Bournemouth. Do you find Bournemouth very exciting? I mean, that's probably your problem, isn't it? You like a team who's a bit more exciting.
No, but the thing I respect about Eddie Howe's, he came in with a footballing philosophy, and he didn't just try and go route one instantly. He had to adapt it because he didn't have the players to pull it off. But I generally like him. I just think that they haven't got the budget really to compete. They've only got like a 10,000 seat stadium. But I admire what they've been able to achieve. When you look at the size of the club, they've solidified. But I just think that this season, a few teams around them have strengthened, and they've brought in Jermaine Defoe, which is a good signing. But generally, I don't know if they've got enough.
Do you think that Man City being surprised earlier in the week by Everton is anything to go off?
I think it's a bad thing for Bournemouth. I think that'll put the.
Okay.
I think that there'll be a rubber band effect now, and they'll be like, all right, we're not just going to fanny on next time. We're going to go for the fucking kill.
And is that what they were doing?
And when they do get going, I just think they just got so much fucking quality, mate.
Yeah, that is.
Sterling scored the other day. That was a good finish by Sterling, to be fair.
It was a good finish by Rooney.
It was all right.
Well, it was good because he's not what he used to be, is he?
Yeah, well, we'll get on to him when we talk about Everton, won't we? So
yeah.
Sterling hasn't really progressed generally, though, for me, since going to Man City.
I think he's been told that his starting place isn't guaranteed anymore because they've got other players. He's almost wishing he stayed at Liverpool. No,
genuinely, he might start this game or whatever. I don't know, but I don't think he's a starting 11 player. Ironically, £50 million, and he's benched.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get players that look more like Pep Guardiola players. I reckon Man City are going to win this one 3-1. Did you also say 3 or 4-1?
I said 4-1. You say 3-1.
Huddersfield Town.
Su casa.
My car, Sue's car. I think that's what it means in Spanish. Huddersfield Town, Southampton. It starts Saturday at 3:00. It's another one we can finish. What do you think? They've never met before in the Premier League. The last time they met was in 2010 in the 3rd tier of English football when Southampton won 4-1 on that day.
Yeah, I think there's definitely holes in that Huddersfield Town team. We just didn't have enough attacking quality to expose it.
Yeah.
But a runner in behind, like a Gabbiadini, I think, and he's one that when he scores, he tends to do it in clusters. Like you'll go 5 games without one, then he'll do 1 in every 5. So
and he'll get his. He's a confidence player by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Or an Italian, as we know them.
Southampton definitely looked good going forward against West Ham.
Yeah, he's definitely Italian by trade.
In the words of Statman Dave, he's Italian by trade.
Yeah. So that really still cracks me up.
Did you see the highlights video I put out on the second channel?
Yeah.
Good plug there. Of the kickoff. When he said Spanish by trade, I think what happens is Dave gets into like a mind state of he just wants to get everything out there, and he just dropped in a line that made no sense whatsoever. It's like when you leave school. It's like when you leave school and your mum goes to you, should you not be getting a trade, get an apprenticeship? And you're like, yeah, I want to be Spanish. It's like,
what do you do when you grow up? I'd like to be Portuguese if possible.
It's fucking makes no sense.
I want to be from Barbados.
Did you see the bit where he looks at the cup on the highlights video?
Yeah,
Dave.
Dave
It's like, my favourite bit about that is when he's clearly reading the cup, and then when he smiles afterwards as if he's impressed with the cup. To be fair, Man United fans haven't had a lot of cups, since Fergie left, so take every chance you can get,
That is awkward, though. Many Manchester United fans will probably rebel in the comments. True Geordie, NUFC.
What about the FA Cup, you cunt?
Yeah. Dusan Tadic has been good. He's the kind of player that if you wanted to steal a player away from Southampton, you go for Tadic.
But he was a bit like, I don't know, who's that Leicester City player? The winger who was really good. Yeah, he's a bit like Mahrez. He had that very, very good season. Still good since then, but hasn't quite recreated the magic.
Yeah, that's a good point. And he's only got he's only been involved in 39 goals in 100 games. So I guess his return isn't really good enough. But I mean is that first season, that when he set it on fire, that he hasn't gone back to that level since then. He's very good though. I mean, as a Newcastle fan, I'll fucking take whatever scraps. I was going to say, to be honest, I'd actually quite enjoy seeing Tadic play under Benitez. What are you going to go for? What are you going to go for that? You're going to go.
He is a Benitez player, isn't he? Now that you mention
it, not literally
though. Who was it against Southampton versus
Huddersfield?
Huddersfield.
Yeah,
that's right. And it's at Huddersfield though.
And you say he doesn't make the effort.
I'm going to say 1-1.
I'm going to go...
I think Huddersfield... I wouldn't surprise us if Southampton won it, but I've got to give Huddersfield the benefit of the doubt because they're really putting hard work and they're really working hard in the matches.
It's going to be an exciting tactical game, I think, from two young, exciting managers. I'm going to go 1-1 as well. Actually, I'll go 2-1 Huddersfield.
Fucking hell, he's gone for it, lads.
2-1.
Next match.
Watford-Brighton. This is a clash of the Watford Gap and the other part of Britain that people don't know very well. Brighton. Leicester got slapped on the wrist, or even worse, because their fans were chanting homophobic stuff. Will Watford fans go down the same route? Watford have lost just one of their last 10 league meetings to Brighton. Yeah, Brighton's notoriously...
quite known.
Yeah.
Alfie Dace lives there, actually. So does Joe Weller. I'm not saying
coincidence. I think not.
Ironically, Joe Weller's having a night out. Joe Weller's having a night out on Thursday. If you want in London, if you fancy going for a few.
On this Thursday.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be headed? Tell me the exact address of the club.
I mean, to be honest, he's promoted it on Twitter, but I can't remember what it's called. But if you fancy going out, guest list.
Join Brian and Joe Weller down at Stringfellows on Thursday night.
You fucker. To be honest, there wouldn't be a question if we were going if it was there, I tell you. So.
Brighton have scored just 4 goals in their last 7 league trips to Vicarage Road, all coming after half time. I reckon it's going to be a 3-1 Watford win because I'm really impressed with the way that Silva's got this Watford team playing.
No, you've got to give the lad credit. He turned Hull around almost, and he's proven that. I mean, because that was an absolute shit show, wasn't it, when he took over from Brucey?
But I mean
that's Bruce, not Forsyth.
Yeah. Although both of them have seen their careers end very recently.
Fucking state of Steve Bruce, bless him. He's a walking heart attack waiting to happen, isn't he? Anyway. But yeah,
poor Steve Bruce, though, right?
Yeah, no, he's a decent manager as Silva, and he's proven that. And they've made a few signings. I had them bottom 3, and it doesn't look like it's going to go that way at all now. Yeah. I really should have remembered how good he was, so that my mistake. But yeah, Brighton, they're a little bit like Newcastle. They haven't adjusted at all to the league, and they don't look good enough right now. So I'm expecting, Watford win.
All 5 of Watford's Premier League goals this season so far have come from different players. So they spread the goals around. That's a good sign. Yeah, no one in absolutely red-hot form.
Ironically, all of Newcastle's goals have come from the same player as well this season.
Yeah.
Fucking no one.
Yeah.
So
is he playing
great
up front?
analysis.
Fucking no one.
Great analysis there.
Did you give me a Watford score?
2-0 to Watford.
The 5:30 kickoff on Saturday is Manchester United versus Leicester City. Now, of course, this has actually become somewhat of a rivalry because Leicester have gotten more good recently. Manchester United lost just 2 of their last 22 league meetings with Leicester, though, and only one of those came at Old Trafford in 1998. So it's not great for Leicester, who might want to start a rivalry, but are actually not going to be able to.
Nah, Leicester aren't the team they were. They should never have gotten rid of Ranieri, in my opinion, to be honest.
Craig Shakespeare's done all right. I mean, he's gotten a win and a loss at the beginning of the season, and they really ran Arsenal close.
I just think I still think it's a fucking disgrace that they got rid of Ranieri, and so many people chalk that Premier League title win now as lucky. It's like, he did brilliantly with them, and maybe he was an impact manager. Maybe it was just one of those amazing wonder seasons. Fair enough, but I think he deserved more time than he got. So I'm a little bit sour about that still.
Good to hear. Mkhitaryan's got 4 assists already this season. That's in just 2 games. I know they've been very straightforward games for Manchester United. They've not really been challenged. Do you think Leicester are going to put up a challenge here?
Leicester are pretty good at raising their game and that, and also counter-attack is made for them, and I think that's exactly what they're going to need to do in this game, because Man United are just swarming teams as they're going forward at the moment, although Man United are counter-attacking themselves, but they're just generally, I think that's going to be the best style to have a chance of getting a draw or a win against them. So I expect them to concede their first goal of the season in this game.
Yeah, I mean, on average, Leicester score roughly just under 1 goal a game against Manchester United when they meet them, and Manchester United score 2. So I'm going to go 2-1.
Yeah, I think that's a decent show, but yeah, I think I might do the same and go 2-1 Man United.
Lukaku scored 15 goals in his last 11 Premier League appearances at home. I mean, none of those are all at Everton, but, still.
Well, not all of them, obviously.
Well, 2 of them for Manchester United, but still. Mostly for Everton.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Then, if we move to Sunday, when we've got Chelsea, Everton. This one's actually quite exciting because Everton look better, don't they? They look renewed. Obviously, drawing.
They do, but and Rooney's got 2 and 2, 200 goals. Alan Shearer, 260 goals, Premier League goals.
Good.
Wayne Rooney, 200. Wayne Rooney played more games than Alan Shearer. Alan Shearer played for Newcastle. So whenever anyone has this debate about who was the better goal scorer, say no more. Just saying. But anyway.
What do you think they should say?
Well, Alan Shearer scored more goals in less games by a mile for a worse team.
Right.
Simple.
And really. Almost exactly.
And
that's the script, guys.
Anyway. But with Rooney, you cannot expect him to deliver all season. That isn't going to happen. We all know that. So it's more a case of what do they do when Rooney doesn't score in a game. I think buying Sigurdsson's a good move. They're going to get rid of Barkley as well. Are they going to spend that money on someone before the end of the window?
Apparently they want to get rid of him. They might get rid of him late, though. So it's going to have to be one of those sort of trigger deals where it goes through and then goes
buy
through.
Before you sell then. But really, I've been really impressed with Everton's ambition. Supporting a club that has no ambition at all, it really makes us think, fair play to the owners. They're going out there and trying to give the fans a decent team to celebrate.
But for a long time, they didn't have.
It should really be the bare minimum. But yeah, they're trying to spend the money wisely, a bit like Spurs kind of did with the Gareth Bale money, although it didn't seem that way initially. They eventually built a good team, and I think they're trying to have like a team for the future where they can gradually build and build and build, instead of doing it where you just get one player here and one player there and hopefully that fixes everything. They're trying to do the whole team,
and now they've got an investment, they can do that. And maybe we mocked them for getting Wayne Rooney back at the beginning of the season, but he's done all right for them so far. And then the draw against Man City. I know it was probably a team performance, but, still in the draw against Man City.
No, he's putting the ball in the back of the net, mate. Fair play.
Just the twice. I still think Everton will win this one. Lose this one. Chelsea will get it. Surely Chelsea after that great result.
Is it at Stamford Bridge? Yeah.
It is at Stamford Bridge. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Still, it's not going to be an easy game, but yeah, I agree. I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea.
Chelsea haven't lost back-to-back home league games since 2011. So at least say that either Chelsea win or draw.
Yeah, 2-1 Chelsea win.
They're also unbeaten in the last 22 Premier League home games against Everton.
I was impressed. I haven't mentioned this because I didn't do the football hangover. A lot of people are going to be giving a shit for that. Ironically. I genuinely was. But yeah, I was really impressed with Chelsea against Spurs. Just controlled. Good performance.
Exactly. I agree. Moving on. I think I'm going to go Chelsea 2-0. I don't think Wayne Rooney will score in this game. Right. For a little while, Chelsea did flirt with Wayne Rooney, though. I do wonder if he sort of says, "You'll miss me." Do you know what I mean? But they won't. There's another 1:30 kickoff on Sunday. It's West Brom versus Stoke City at the Hawthorns.
The Tony Pulis derby.
The TPD. What sounds like some sort of glue.
I was really TPD. Impressed with fucking Hesse. I'm gutted Newcastle didn't get him because he is the type of player, a little bit like Jamie Vardy when he had that good season for Leicester, and generally he forces the issue. He's always trying to make something happen. I feel like so many players don't take responsibility to create and score goals, whereas some, when they're passing and they're moving, they're going, "Give us the fucking ball, I want it back," and they're running at players. I admire that so much. I wish more players had a set of balls on them to go and fucking try and force the issue.
If he scores in this game for Stoke, he'll be the second player to score in the 2 opening Premier League appearances after... That's right, everyone. Ricardo Fuller. We all knew it.
You mean for Stoke? Yeah.
Yeah, I said that was so,
yeah. But yeah, really impressed with him. As for West Brom, I mean, can we just give a quick prediction for this one? Because it's just...
What about Saido Berahino?
Berahino's career really has gone down the shit, hasn't it?
Poor Saido, right? I like.
Can you believe
Berahino.
that? Can you believe West Brom wanted 30 million for him from Spurs at one point?
Well, at one point it looked like he could have gone to Spurs, but he didn't.
No, they wouldn't cough up Spurs, but it's just mad, isn't it? To think. I feel Tony Pulis is ironically partly to blame for the decline of the lad because they just squeezed the life out of his career there, didn't they? And he was a little arsehole. So he kind of deserved it because he was a little arsehole, but still, like, I feel like from an England fan's point of view, he could have really been nurtured a lot better by them.
It was definitely disappointing because if he'd have done it maybe, or what a lot of people considered the right way, he could have maybe had one more good season and then left, but didn't. Tony Pulis in the end did say he was a good lad, though, so...
I'm just going to go for a draw on this one because...
you don't care?
Yeah, 1-1. I really don't.
The 4 o'clock kickoff on Sunday. Well, the first 4 o'clock kickoff on Sunday.
What's your prediction?
I'll go 1-0 West Brom.
Yeah, because we want both of our predictions. They complained about that the last time.
Yeah, no one gave a shit about what I had to say.
No. We have to have the compare and contrast.
Yeah, let's do that. Spurs versus Burnley. This one's also 4 o'clock on Sunday at Wembley. Spurs will be looking to get back on the road. Tottenham have won 4 and lost just 1 of their previous Premier League meetings against Burnley. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Spurs... I haven't been impressed with them so far this season, and I feel like they're making a massive mistake in not investing when the strike while the iron's hot. To me, if you're a Premier League club, there's never. All right, they're trying to sign someone. I think they've signed 1 player, haven't they? But I feel like the opportunity was there to really go out and make a statement and go and spend and buy a couple of players,
2 or 3 more players. Yeah, make the squad quality.
And really cement themselves as like, we're fucking serious, we're not going anywhere. whereas Man United and Man City seem to have, like, in terms of on paper, leapfrogged them in terms of squad quality. They should never have allowed this.
Do you know who their top scorer at Wembley is?
Dele Alli?
It's own goals. They've scored 5 own goals at Wembley, and Michy Batshuayi's was the 5th. No one scored more goals for Spurs at Wembley than own.
I know that this Wembley hoodoo, and the summer hasn't gone well, and then they've lost Walker. But at some point, quality's got to turn it around for them, and they've got enough quality to smash Burnley.
Yeah, I know. And
this is going to be it. This is going to be it. I'm going to say it now. No disrespect to Burnley. I like their manager, and they've done really well compared to Newcastle over the last few seasons. But yeah, I'm going 4-0 Spurs. I think Spurs are turning up finally this season. They're going to show people. Yeah.
Third game in, you tend to, if you've not started well, Spurs have only got a win and a loss, same as Burnley.
They beat Newcastle, but it was a newly promoted down to 10-man Newcastle, and they didn't do it in style. So,
but let me ask you this, right? If Tottenham failed to beat Chelsea, but Burnley beat Chelsea, surely Burnley will beat Tottenham because they lost against Chelsea.
Football mathematics, lads, doesn't work that way, does it? Unfortunately,
okay, right? Yeah, because Burnley also then in the second game of the season failed to get one shot on target against West Brom. So maybe your 4-0 prediction isn't accurate.
I'm going 4-0. And another thing though is with that big Wembley pitch, I don't know if it's going to suit Burnley's style either. I think if Spurs can do what they didn't do against Chelsea, which is widen that player because they were so narrow in that game, they should really be able to take them apart.
Should we move on to the very exciting match of the weekend, the one which is a rivalry, the one which everyone has been waiting to see. It's Liverpool at Anfield taking on Arsenal. Both teams are rocking. Liverpool drew and won.
Is that on Sunday or Monday?
Sunday afternoon, 4:00.
Cool.
Liverpool drew and then won, and Arsenal won and then lost. Neither team looking particularly stable going into this game. And we're actually recording this again before Liverpool play Hoffenheim. So Liverpool may or may not be in Europe, be at least in the Champions League next season.
It's one of those things where I feel like these two are really evenly matched in terms of the teams. Both have got similar problems. Both of them, you question their mentality. Like, whoever comes into this game more concentrated, I think will win.
Who do you think it'll be?
I look at the way Hesse exposed the back line of Arsenal, and then I imagine
Mane,
Salah,
Firmino, Salah,
Mane.
Sessions.
Yeah. I'm going to go Liverpool, mate. I just think that I think Arsenal score, and I like Lacazette's movement and his finishing, but I just think that Liverpool are going to terrorise that back line.
In this fixture in the Premier League, Liverpool have 11 more goals than Arsenal do.
I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool.
Sadio, that's not actually a bad one because all their strikers have got pretty good records against Arsenal, including Roberto Firmino, who has scored 3 goals in 4 Premier League games against Arsenal, with Petr Cech conceding 26 against Liverpool in the Premier League. He's not conceded any that many goals.
Have you heard that Barca are lining up a £138 million Coutinho bid?
Yeah, and what I love is when people go, they're preparing it. You're like, what, are they putting salt and pepper on it or something? Like, what's the...
yeah.
You know, I mean, you and I both know how long it takes to sign a fucking contract.
It's as if they're literally like loading bags of cash up to be flown direct to to Anfield.
Messi and Suarez just shoving bags of cash, and they're just going, everyone, just please.
Pack it harder.
Yeah. Can you not help over here? And Rakitic is like, I don't want him. I don't think it'll happen.
So yeah, mate. A prediction?
Good. I reckon it'll be Liverpool 2-1. I reckon it'll be a tight game. Liverpool and Arsenal have achieved a very similar number of points since Jurgen Klopp took over. So I don't think that they are. I think you're right. I think they're not a million miles apart. Arsenal have had 133 and Liverpool have had 128. So there's only really 2 games difference in those.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I feel like they're very similar. They both have glaring weaknesses in their teams, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just think Liverpool's options going forward, you can lean on players a bit more. I feel like Ozil, he's a bit hit and miss these days. I mean, he might turn up in this game, but he might not. Whereas I feel like Firmino, Mane, players like that are a bit more consistent than what Arsenal have got going on, without Sanchez, obviously, because Sanchez is consistent.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
All right.
Of course.
Is that the lot?
Yeah, we'll talk about the post-weekend games later. It's looking good.
And for those who've watched all the way through, thanks.
Well done to you, first of all.
But also, these are probably the hardcore subscribers, the ones who are on the second channel watching to the bitter end of a video. So to them, like I say, sorry for not doing the football hangover. I know I've got a lot of people complaining, but yeah, I was wrecked, and I was also, to be honest, down in the dumps about Newcastle losing.
Were you a bit upset?
Because I kind of, that was me. Some people are saying it's only 2 games into the season, and I'm like, yeah, but when you know Newcastle as well as I do, you understand the meaning of what you've just witnessed and how poor we look generally creatively. So I was like, I don't want to be the guy who rants and it's the same video every weekend. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to I'm not going to milk what's going on for that. But at the same time, I thought I'll get to it in my own way at some point. We'll see how the West Ham game goes, and then I'll do a proper football hangover after that and really say where this is going, because I think if we don't win the West Ham game, then it's looking severely bad. Do you know what I mean?
Are you then in trouble of losing Rafa?
Well, I can say personally, because Rafa's come out and said, Mike Ashley made promises to us, and he's alluding to the fact that they're blatantly not being kept, because truthfully, why the fuck would Rafa Benitez stay at Newcastle if he knew that he was only going to get 10, 15, 20 million pounds of investment with a squad that needs about 100 million pounds minimum? So if I'm Rafa, we're back into the Premier League now, nobody would blame him for walking away. If anything, his reputation is unscathed, and he's done things that other managers of his calibre wouldn't have done. I'd walk away. If I'm not getting the investment, I'd fuck right off personally if I was him. So I don't know why he'd stay.
It's a tricky one. I don't know. I feel like he wants to build that relationship with the Newcastle fans.
He's already done that. But if you're pissing into the wind and you've got a chairman who's not going to invest, I don't think Mike Ashley realises the severity of the situation at all, because he's such a naive man. Someone who's worth. No, but so you understand, I've watched a lot of interviews, and I've had this man as my chairman for 10 years now with the club, and the decisions he makes, I'm thinking, why is the logic? And you try and understand, and then he explains himself a couple of years later. Oh, well, this is what I was thinking then. So you understand what he was like. I've built an opinion up of him now, and I realise that he's one of these men who stubbornness has got him a long way in life, not budging and seeing things through. But football isn't like that. You've got to be, in sport, you've got to do what works. You can't just force the whole game to change to you. That's not going to work like that.
You've got to be like water.
Yeah, exactly. Bruce Lee. So
fit the kettle.
What I've realised is he is very, very stubborn, and he hasn't learned from his mistakes, clearly. I mean, that is crystal fucking clear. So, but if he loses Rafa, it's not going to be like the previous times. I think all fans at that point will just give up. And I certainly feel like, pretty bad about the ambitions of the club. It's really disappointing that we've worked so hard to get in the Premier League, and now it's like, oh, well then, me investment's protected. Now I've got a Premier League club again.
I do have to admit, I do find it a little bit weird. Like, why would you? There have been other clubs who have got investment. People like Southampton have seen investment. Other people have, seen people come in. Why hasn't anyone bought Newcastle? Because it's almost an easy win. You're going to fill a stadium every week. You've got great players. You've got a great manager. You've got a region which is calling out for it.
And you'd be a god up here if you went and turned this club round, whoever. But what annoys me is there's fools out there actually defending Mike Ashley, saying, "Do you really think he's got all that money? He spent it all on, his sports wear company," and that upsets us because I'm just like, you all you have to do is look at his financial history. And you say that he spent 100 million on this project, 100 million on that project. Like, he has got the money. He just thinks right now, fuck it, let's just let this club sit there. And Rafa's good enough; he'll keep it afloat. Do you know what I mean? And I hope it. In a way, if it bites them on the arse, I hope the fans finally, make a stand.
You hope
because
it doesn't, though.
Rafa's being shafted big time.
Something you would love to get.
There's the title of the Premier League preview. Rafa's being shafted.
Yep, and that's probably the best place to leave it. We'll see you guys on Saturday, 2:30, and we'll also see you... Well, actually, the weird thing is we might start 2 live streams, Saturday and Sunday at 2:30. It's just 2:30 p.m., 2:30 a.m.
That's because, for those who don't know, we've obviously got the kickoff, but we're also doing a show called The Knockout, which will be the Mayweather-McGregor fight. We're live streaming. Come and join us for that. That will be interesting to see the state we're in at that time in the morning.
The state you're in at that time in the morning. Though your hotel's only just down the road, so.
I mean, yeah, but where will I be? We'll find out. Anyway, hopefully you enjoy this video. Like it if you have. Subscribe to the second channel. Appreciate it, lads. And we'll see you later.